el cual nosotros hoy en día tiene mucha importancia, damos paso a la innovación desde el punto de vista de la agencia. Y hemos traído para esto a Daniel Fiandaca, quien es el Chief Innovation Officer de Cheil, que como todos sabéis es esta agencia coreana que inicialmente era la agencia de Samsung, la agencia interna de Samsung, y desde hace unos años pues, es una agencia como otra cualquiera, abierta a clientes distintos de Samsung, que también está aquí en España. Daniel trabaja en Londres. Es conocido también por muchos por una iniciativa que tiene, que es Creative Social, en la cual pues, se ponen en contacto creativos de todo el mundo y precisamente para aprender, para seguir creciendo en un mundo de la creatividad en el que siempre necesitas pues, aprender de otra gente especialmente de fuera del sector de la publicidad. Y le hemos pedido que nos cuente cómo enfocan la creatividad desde el punto de vista de la agencia de la innovación, perdón, desde el punto de vista de la agencia, pensando en cómo hacen el Cheil y cómo es su trabajo como Chief Innovation Officer dentro de su compañía. La conferencia será en inglés, muchos de vosotros sabéis inglés, otros tenéis los aparatos de traducción simultánea. Esto tiene una peculiaridad, y es que a la hora de hacer las preguntas, así de modo práctico, sí que os pediría que todos los que preguntéis hagáis la pregunta con micrófono, porque también hay que traducir la pregunta a Daniel y de ese modo es más fácil, si no, el traductor no escucha vuestra pregunta y no se puede. Y fuera de eso, sin más, vamos a seguir el esquema tradicional. Haremos 40-45 minutos, luego una ronda de preguntas para los que queráis y ya daremos paso a la sesión final. Daniel, muchas gracias.
Firstly, thanks Mark for the introduction. I've got no idea what you said, but I hope it was correct. Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish. People tell me El Sol means the sun, but I don't believe them. It seems that I brought more than just my English accent to talk about. I also seem to have brought the weather. So earlier you actually heard from Ishmael Pascual from Coca-Cola, some of you may have been here. He talked about innovation from a perspective of a brand. I'm really going to talk to you today about innovation from the perspective of an agency more than anything else, and what I believe agencies need to be doing. And as head of innovation at Cheil, I've been there 18 months, but hopefully I'm going to be talking about really my view on innovation from also 15 years in the industry running a digital marketing agency, which I did for 10 years. And hopefully by the end of it you'll realise that innovation for me isn't about a job title, it's actually about a state of mind. So I think it's probably worth just starting. This is, if anyone's never used this tool before, it's a fantastic tool on Google. It's called Google Trends, and it shows you the number of searches around certain terms. And so this shows you 3 searches. One is advertising innovation, the second one is digital innovation, and the third one is marketing innovation. And the reason I'm just showing this is simply because if you see advertising innovation at the bottom, there has been very little interest in advertising innovation, because I would argue there has been very little innovation in advertising. In something like digital, you've seen more innovation, but actually if you then look at a marketing level, we start to see far more innovation. Clearly that's across product ranges, and I'll come back to some of that and what innovation within brands can actually mean for those brands. And I think what's happening is brands are actually finding more that they are actually determining what advertising they're doing themselves. So this is the 2011 Big One annual rankings. The second most highly awarded agency in the world for digital communications was in-house. Okay, Patrick Hollister runs the One Report and told me that soon after he published this, a German magazine, a German journalist phoned him up and said, I've been looking everywhere and I can't find this agency called in-house. Completely losing the point of the fact that it was the brands themselves delivering that work. And certainly, I don't know how much work you guys see, but certainly at UK level, I'm based in London, at a UK level, the brands for me that are doing some of the most interesting work within the comms space are the likes of Burberry, Diesel, Google and Red Bull. And if you actually look, if you look on the surface, most of these brands are actually facilitating it themselves. Yeah, they are doing their work in-house. But actually, if you scratch it a little deeper, what you find is these brands actually just finding new models. They are bringing agencies in. Those agencies are helping to deliver on some of those ideas. And if we go at a brand level, the reality is clients are looking for agencies to be innovative. This is Jane Kumar. She's the Global Director of Digital Marketing at Converse. And she said, in the same way our audience expects to consistently deliver them new and awesome experiences, we expect our agencies to consistently deliver new and innovative ideas. And it's not just clients that actually are looking for innovation, for things to surprise them. This is an 18-year-old, and they said, if you want to talk to me in my world, you need to operate at my pace. And I think the reality that is one of the challenges that we have in modern communications is the pace of change is incredibly fast. Yeah, and it's very difficult to keep up with that change. Again, if you actually look at our audience themselves, you can actually see that they are proving they're inspiring innovation. So how many of you here, please show of hands, how many of you here know of my Starbucks idea? Okay, a few of you. So my Starbucks idea was started in 2008, and all they did is they created a platform for their customers to go in and actually provide ideas. Yeah, I think the one I remember is I go to cruise ships quite a lot. I would like to have a Starbucks on a cruise ship. Within 12 months of someone having that idea, they actually implemented Starbucks on cruise ships. Since 2008, they've had 150,000 ideas. They've had, of those 150,000 ideas, they've had 400 product ideas actually delivered. They've had over 200 experience ideas delivered and nearly 200 involvement ideas. Go and have a site, I will show you in detail what they've actually done. This is, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this. This is the Fiat Mio. This was the first ever crowdsourced car that came out of Brazil in 2010. And probably my favourite is the Lego Kusu. If anyone has children, you may have seen this before. Kusu in Japanese means wish. And again, it's a very, very simple platform. It's a platform where people can put onto the site their ideas of Lego products that they'd like to see delivered. And if they get 10,000 votes, they will do everything in their power to actually make that product happen. And this is actually Minecraft. I don't have children. I'm told that if I did have children, my children would be playing Minecraft. But Minecraft is now, after someone going up and saying we want some Minecraft Lego products, has now proved to be one of the most successful Lego products in terms of sales. But first of all, why don't we define innovation? What actually does innovation mean? I think the first thing, especially in light of this audience, the first thing to say is it's not this. It's not this lovely little idea by the economist where if you walk under the light bulb, the light bulb lights up. It's not this bendable straw advertising a yoga centre. And it's not this nice little lad by Axe to show the power of spraying yourself with Axe. Fundamentally, it's not creativity. They are two different things. This is probably the best quote I've seen in terms of trying to establish the two. This is from Theodore Levitt, who's a professor at Harvard Business School, and he said that creativity is thinking up new things, innovation is doing new things. And in fact, I don't know how many people in this room would say they were born of the digital era. They've been in digital agencies. Okay, it's quite a few of you. So for us that grew up in digital, this is where we get confused. Because the truth is, in digital, we've had to come up with ideas and deliver them in new mediums throughout our whole lifetime. So for us, the difference between creativity and innovation is really blurred. Really, really blurred. So I can understand sometimes when people confuse the two things. So what is innovation? Innovation is ideas that change everything. Okay, so this is, I'm sure I've seen the people you nodding. This is Dick Fosbury, who in the 1967 actually created a new technique for high jumping. From the scissors kick to this that became the Fosbury flop. In 1968, he set a new Olympic record of 2.24 metres, and he was the only person using this technique. 4 years later in Munich, 28 of the 40 competitors were using this technique, and now you'll only actually see this technique in the Olympics. It is ideas that spawn new ideas. How many people have seen this piece of work? Okay, quite a few of you. Unfortunately for us, most people have seen this work, very few people know it was done by Cheil Worldwide. In fact, it's the reason why I joined Cheil Worldwide. For those that don't know what it is, very, very simply, the insight in Korea, I don't know how many people know Korea, but it is the second hardest working population, city in the world. They work really quite hard, so they have very little time. So this was a very simple idea that allowed you, on your way home, in the subway, to actually go up to a poster and using QR codes to buy your shopping. Okay, and so for me, what's interesting for us as a business is this is probably the most copied digital outdoor idea of the last 5 years. So we've seen it spring up in Chile, we've seen it spring up in Australia, we've seen it spring up in Chicago, and again in the UK. And I probably have about 30 other examples where other brands have actually copied this. I'm going to give you my definition. I think what's interesting, and I'll come on to the rise of the Chief Innovation Officer specifically in London, everyone gives a different definition for innovation. If you start piecing together, they're kind of the same, but my definition is innovation is finding new and better ways to solve problems and opening up new opportunities. And I think given the context of the economy we're in, that second bit of opening up new opportunities is really quite important. And I'll talk later about some of the key KPIs. I think the key thing I do want to say is there is no word of technology or digital in that title. For me, it's not about digital and technology. It is about finding new ways. It just happens that a lot of the time, technology actually opens up the opportunities to deliver those solutions. Again, I'm just going to show an example, a local example here. It's from my Cheil colleagues here at the front, delivered it. Because the innovation doesn't necessarily have to be big. It can also be small. And I think everyone tries to expect these really big things to happen. Now I'm going to show you a quick case study that shows you one of those small innovations.
January the 17th, 1920. The 18th Amendment of the United States Constitution by Senator Volstead says the production, sale, and transport of intoxicating liquors is prohibited. 92 years later, a new brew beer is born. And ironically, it was named honoring him. This is Senator Volstead, the beer that is hard to find. For its launch, we decided to make a tribute to Senator Volstead, the man who woke up one day in a bad mood and decided nobody could have alcohol anymore. In the 1920s, people who still wanted to drink alcohol found creative ways of hiding it. We decided to hide it in secret places, as it was done in the past. You could also buy it from a website. But even there, the beer was hidden inside a fake teddy bear shop with clues to find the beer. All you needed to do was to resize the window. Easily adapted to all devices thanks to responsive web design. And when a client ordered online, we delivered it in the exact same way as in the 1920s. Almost 1 century later, in a market full of huge competitive brands, Senator Volstead found its way to beer lovers.
Obviously, the innovation in there was the first time I've certainly seen using responsive design to actually reveal something. Yeah, I thought it was really nice, a little touch from the guys. So So what I come here really to talk about is agency, what I believe is agency pillars of innovation. So how can you actually look to deliver innovation with an agency? So I'm going to take you through, I can't even remember how many it is now, I think it's about 7. The first one is probably the most key one, which is you need to have senior responsibility. So as I talked about, what we're actually seeing in the UK, we are seeing the rise of the innovation officer. So these are some of the agencies that actually have dedicated innovation titles. And clearly I have a dedicated title, but I think the key thing for me is not just that I have the title, is I'm actually one of the managing partners of the UK business. And actually that's the most important thing, is I'm responsible for making sure, and I can actually help make decisions that make sure that we are innovative. So you don't have to have people with titles of innovation. You really don't, but what you do need is you have someone senior that is part of their KPIs that can deliver on it. The advantages of having a title like mine is, one, I have time to actually do some innovative stuff. It's part of my job role. Secondly, it makes a big difference in terms of presenting to clients. Because clients, by definition, expect to see something that actually will challenge. I mean, doing change is actually quite hard. Yeah, so actually having permission to push the boundaries actually is quite a good thing to have. But I think it's also important to say that it must be everyone's responsibility. So this is Unilever's brands, which are they've all reinvented a new category. And these brands here represent 70% of Unilever's profits. Yeah, so through innovation has had a huge impact on Unilever. Yet, John Kieran, who is the CEO of Brain Juicer, he said all Unilever's new category brands were invented before its much lauded and copied move to innovation centres in the 1990s. And fundamentally what he's saying is by putting innovation into a silo, it's actually become less innovative. And if we look at some of the challenges that advertising agencies have had over the last 10 years, the worst thing that advertising agencies did was create digital departments, because they created silos. And it gave permission for other people not to understand what digital actually meant in terms of the communications mix. The second thing is R&D budget. So that's R&D budget both from an agency perspective and also from a client perspective. At an agency level, I will share this with you, I do have a budget, it's still quite small. Some people might say it's actually quite big, but it's roughly 15,000 euros a quarter. That enables me just to do stuff. That's actually physical product, buying products. So, for example, this is something we developed for the agency. How many of you have your mobile phones on? Okay, most of you. If you're tweeting, you're excused. And if you are tweeting, that is the hashtag at the bottom right there. But we are too connected. And so I think we're actually becoming inefficient because of our connectivity. And so this is something we developed in-house using a product from Samsung, it's Samsung Tactiles. It's programmable NFC chips. And quite simply, if you put the phone, that red thing actually says off. If you put it on off, it turns the screen resolution down, it turns the Wi-Fi off, and it turns the ringer down. So everyone in our office has this by that desk. If they don't want to be disturbed, they put it on off. When you push it back onto the on side, it turns it all back on. So again, this is just things that we've been testing. And again, just to talk about, our Korean team do not have an innovation title. They just have a team that is constantly pushing boundaries. I'm just going to share a couple of pieces of work they've developed in the last 3 months to show you some of the things that they've been testing.
I am a poster. I am the world's oldest advertising medium, and now the least popular. I exist, but I am not seen. People like new things. Their mobile devices are all they see. Am I to be forgotten like this? If only someone could help. Say the movie poster, Wi-Fi poster. Unlike conventional posters, a Wi-Fi poster can reach far and wide even those at a distance. Pedestrians who approached the poster received a Wi-Fi signal with the movie's title. When they connected to the Wi-Fi poster, a surprising experience was brought to them via Wi-Fi. All it took was a tap of the finger to enjoy the movie with their mobile devices. Through the Wi-Fi poster on their devices, people could learn about the plot and its characters. Watch movie trailers in HD. Even buy tickets in a matter of minutes. The Wi-Fi posters were installed in the most popular spots around Seoul. During the campaign, Wi-Fi posters increased the film's official website traffic by 28.5%. Wi-Fi poster users remained on the sites 5 times longer than regular visitors. As a result, the films advertised with the poster enjoyed big success at the box office. The poster would no longer be an abandoned medium. People were enjoying their mobile devices in whole new ways with Wi-Fi poster. Once the oldest, now the newest.
The thing I liked most about this is it really tapped into a user behaviour that everyone does, which is tapping into the Wi-Fi and making it very easy. And again, what I'm going to show you is once you have that leap, and once you understand that innovation, it's very easy then to build on it.
Korean people work the longest hours in the world and are always busy. That's why they consider accessibility most when they choose their favorite discount store. And they rarely change the choice. Mission: make people staying far from E-Mart do shopping at E-Mart. How to: create an E-Mart store that flies to customers. Idea: we created a flying store. It's a free Wi-Fi balloon that makes people do shopping. The E-Mart truck-shaped balloon, equipped with a free Wi-Fi router, floated in every corner of the city. People, out of curiosity, connected to the Wi-Fi signal and downloaded coupons using their mobile phones. They bought products immediately via the E-Mart mobile app. Results: the flying store was very popular. As a result, E-Mart sales soared both in online and offline stores. Mobile sales especially more than doubled. The download number of the E-Mart app increased to 50,000 in the month alone. If customers cannot come to E-Mart, E-Mart flies to them. Flying store, flying E-Mart.
So these are all things that we were doing in-house, and I don't know how well one has, but for a while I've been advocating with clients that they spend 5 to 10% of their budget on R&D, and the reality is we know in a crisis, it's the first budget that goes. I was actually at a conference about innovation 3 weeks ago, and Alex Jenkins, who's the editor of Contagious magazine, said, a client told me I didn't want to pay for my agencies to experiment and innovate as much as I needed them to. So what he was saying is it's our job to keep on pushing our clients. We have to push our clients because it is fundamental to their business and their success that we do actually innovate and they innovate. And perhaps the best model I've seen, I was running a course a couple of years ago for Hyper Island in Australia. And that client said to me the way they spent their media spend was 60% on proven, 30% on proving, and 10% on testing new models. And what's really clever about this is what he said is it actually opened up new possibilities and new budgets that we didn't have before. Because let's say 2 years ago you were testing mobile for the first time, when you actually proved it, when you've actually used it, it then goes into the proving pot. And so obviously once you start proving it, it goes to the proving pot. And obviously the big consequence of this is TV advertising does go down. Okay, I'm a big advocate of TV. I think reaching frequency still works, but I still think the balance is wrong at the moment in most markets. And I think this model actually helps to address that balance in a clever way. And again, one of the things that I talk to clients about is this whole idea of you can see further from the frontier. So in someone like a Burberry, when they actually started using Instagram behind the catwalk 2 years ago at fashion shows, and it was extremely successful, created a lot of buzz. They'd already been on Instagram for 6 months. So I talk to clients a lot, is you can only truly innovate if you're already on the frontier. So you have to get onto platforms early so you can understand what potential those platforms might actually give you. Okay, I'm going to move to the third one, and I'm going to get some audience participation. For Spain it's probably not that late, for London everyone will be asleep by now. So I'm actually going to ask you all, I'll see how many I get, can you show me how to swim? All of you, show me how to swim. Fantastic, fantastic. Can anyone shout out to me, how did you learn how to swim?
Swimming.
Someone threw you in. So you learn by getting into the pool. No one can show you, you have to get into the pool. And I think when I talk about that speed of change, I would advocate this, I advocate to all my team, you have to get into the pool. And it's tough. This is my footprint. This is my learning footprint over the last 7 years. And it is hard, but the truth is that you can only truly understand a platform if you're actually in it and you're using it. And if you're not, recognise you don't understand that platform and find someone in your team that does and make sure they're part of those discussions. And this is an idea that is actually shared with Keith Weed, who's the CMO of Unilever, who said, I believe one of the ways that marketers remain fresh and keep innovating is by living in the space. I encourage all of our marketers to go out and live in it. I was at a conference, a friend of mine was speaking, he works for an agency called Bird Design in London, and he talked about launching Probe. So this is a product. Has anyone seen this product, Little Printer? Okay, a few of you. I actually have one at home. It's kind of, my wife bought it for me Christmas. I said, I've got no idea why you want it, but you seem to want it. And I love it, and I've got no idea why I want it either. But I'll quickly show you what it does. So basically it fits in with a really important trend for me, which is digital and physical. And all it does, it takes some of your data from your social and actually prints it out. But also what they did is they created an open API which allowed people to build applications on top of it. So what Berg were trying to do is understand, if we put a product out there, they actually put it as a prototype, they created a website where people could go and order it, and then only when they got a certain number of sales they develop it. So all of a sudden they said, okay, we're going to launch a product, and through launching the product we're going to get better at understanding how to launch our clients' products. And in fact, they actually work now with Twitter. This is called Flock. It's something they've developed for Twitter. It's using hashtags, and there's limited 12, and what they've done is they've gone out and said, okay, tell us something worthy we can do with these and you can win these clocks. It's just literally cuckoo clocks that respond to certain hashtags which you set up remotely using the cloud. McKinney is one of our sister agencies in the States. This is a service, I don't know how many have dogs, but this is a service that's been launched in the last 12 months called Dognition, that tells you online, gives you tests to work out the personality of your dog. They have invested in it, and again, through investing in it, part of what they're doing is actually marketing it. And because it actually feels like their own business, speaking to the head of innovation there, he said it's made them much better, much more agile to actually deliver on clients' business. As an aside, before I joined Cheil, I had 18 months out. I actually developed my own app, working with an agency called Perfect Fools. And just doing something like that makes you really appreciate the need for marketing and media. Let's just say it didn't take off. Okay, the next thing is I think you do need to create time for innovation. Everyone's heard about the Google 20%. I think it's one of those things that scares everyone off. Of course Google can afford to get their staff to spend 20% on actually working on other products. They make so much money, yeah, and we don't have that luxury. However, again, going back to our partners in the States, they have actually created what they call McKinney 10%. And so every staff member has up to 10% of their time can be dedicated to personal projects. And within that, they have 3 rules. One is the sandbox, not structured play. Sometimes they will have specific briefings as part of the 10%, but usually they just have the curious and talented people do what they want. They tell their people to be entrepreneurs. It's really up to them to understand and really push and find opportunities and see how they can actually make something happen. And 3 is total transparency, so everyone has to let everyone else know what they're actually working on so they can actually build on it. I'm going to show you one of the products that actually came out of this McKinney 10%.
Allow us to paint you a picture. You're surfing the internet like you do every day. And bingo, you spot a photo on one of your favorite sites. The colors are perfect. That's what you want. Those shades, that palette. But how do you get it? Just ship it. This revolutionary online tool from Sherwin-Williams turns any image into your personal color palette, pulled instantly from over 1,500 Sherwin-Williams paint colors. Simply drag the Chip It button to your toolbar. When you spot a photo you love, click it. And then chip it. Reorder it. And tag it too. Save it on your personal Chip It page. And share it with the world. Already have a photo? Just upload it. Voila! Now take your chip card with you when you're ready to paint. Chip It transforms any picture into a color palette. And once again, Sherwin-Williams makes the entire world of color yours to the paint.
I think what's important here, the person that came up with this idea is someone that's passionate about Pinterest. I don't know how big Pinterest here is how big it is here in Spain, but in the US it's huge. I think it's now the 3rd biggest social network. You know, and she had a passion, and that's where she got this idea, and then took it to a client. I've got 2 more. One is this whole idea of expanding your network and the importance of expanding your network. One of the central things of Stephen Johnson's Where Ideas Come From, an actual history of innovation, he says that more diverse networks produce better ideas faster. So the more people you have in the network, the more chance you are to have those ideas quicker. So coming back to the guys at McKinney, they work very closely with their local university, Duke University, and they've also got a partnership with Merge Records, so a record company, and actually putting them in to actually work on ideas. In London, we're currently actually developing an internship program, innovation, specifically focused on innovation, with Bergs in Sweden, School of Communications in London, and Hyper Island in Manchester and Stockholm. And I'm just going to show you at a brand level, probably on an innovation level, probably the most interesting project I've seen in the last 3 years, which was Kraft Foods, working with friends of mine at Contagious in Hyper Island.
Hi, welcome to the Fly Garage, an innovation incubator powered by Kraft Foods Latin America. Together with our friends at Contagious Insider and Caster Innovation, we have created a physical and mental space that gathers leading-edge talent from all around the world to create unmatched, digitally enabled consumer connections for Kraft brands. This is basically a social and collaborative experiment where we put together Kraft employees, world-class agency talents, Hyper Island students, entrepreneurs, and digital media partners during 2 weeks. And finally put it to blend. What does this smoothie taste like? Like a startup. In the garage, there are no boundaries or titles. We are no longer Kraft employees, agencies, nor students. We are a bunch of believers working as one team against one problem. What type of work do we do? Experiments. Breakthrough ideas that can be big bangs in consumer engagement, no matter which format, media, or technology. What makes this project special? The garage is not a workshop, nor a think tank. It's a 3-phase lab with 1 session. Doing. Phase 1, creation. In each garage session, we work on one big, different problem. For each session, we scout and curate leading-edge talent to come as contributors for 2 weeks. To inspire and provoke this team, we bring top-notch agitators from all over the world. Phase 2, prototyping. This phase starts with picking the best ideas. We strongly believe in the power of prototyping. This phase is all about learning by doing. We feel the ideas. We expand them to their full potential. We turn PowerPoints and paper into real stuff. Phase 3, implementation. This phase is about doing big. We work with the business units in the countries to scale the most powerful prototypes and roll them out in the markets. Where are we? The Fly Garage is in Palermo, a cool and trendy neighborhood in the heart of Buenos Aires, Argentina.
So, I've got 2 more, and then we'll go to questions. And if you're shy, a shy audience, please feel free to ask questions on Twitter using that hashtag. So the second thing is, I think the key thing, one of the criticisms of innovation is that it doesn't actually deliver results. So I think it's really important that you set key KPIs in your agencies for innovation. This is Emilia Taroci, one of those people that have innovation title in London, and I really like, this is her definition of innovation. She talks about smart experiments that make a difference. And for those that have studied science, you'll know that experiments only happen if you actually define what you want to be measuring against at the end. And I think that's a really smart way of looking at it. And I actually asked a lot of my peers in the UK what their KPIs were, and these were some of those KPIs. So it could be testing new platforms. So that whole idea of seeing further from the frontier. It can be finding new audiences, growing revenue, new product revenue, culture change and agency inspiration. So we actually have in the UK, we have a big innovation inspiration session. We have at least 2 sessions a month for that the whole agency can actually come to. Awards and reputation, should really come off the back of a lot of the work that you're doing and ultimately winning new business. I'd love to say I have 2 or 3 of those, but I think I have all of those KPIs. And that is important to have a very clear KPIs and understand what we're trying to actually deliver. Finally, and I think this is where I put senior responsibility first. I think you have to set that first. I think the next thing actually is you have to have the right culture. Without the right culture, and again, coming back to this point that innovation should be across the whole agency, the culture is fundamental. One element of that culture, this is Dan Gregson, who's the Managing Director of B&B, again one of our agencies. He said at a client level, innovation is ultimately driven by the senior business directors as it inherently requires delivery. And their relationship provides a key role in setting the environment for clients to commit to new progressive thinking. I don't think you can underestimate the power of what I affectionately call the suit to actually be able to deliver and convince their clients and our clients that actually innovation is important for their business. But I think fundamentally it really is everyone who has to contribute to innovation. And probably my favourite, I'm not going to nick it because it was done by someone else, my favourite definition of innovation was actually from Tom Uglo, who's a creative director at Google's Creative Lab. And he said quite simply, innovation equals experimentation plus exploration, which equals play, which equals fun. And his perspective is really quite simple. If you're not having fun, you cannot be innovative. So I suppose my question to all of you, I hope the answer is certainly yes at this hour, is are you having fun? One of my mantras, I think I've lived my working life as this mantra, we've now taken it into the agency, is choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I truly think that the advertising industry has never been more interesting. I still think social media is making changes that none of us totally appreciate in terms of the communications landscape. And I know a lot of us have budget issues, but the reality is when the budget is low and small, that's the time to be really innovative. And if you are innovative, I actually think you can get some fantastic results. Thank you.